One. Again, my name is Greg Petersma. I am the Executive Director of the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce, and I am pleased to welcome everyone to our retail industry panel, part of our Bridges to Better Business Small Business Month events occurring all this week. The Cornwall Business Enterprise Center, the Cornwall and the county's Community and Development Corporation, and the Chamber are pleased to have three great examples of retailers that have shown great resilience and pivots throughout the pandemic. We have with us Finch Market. We have Sue and Luke from Finch Market. We have Barbara from Mrs. B's, and we have Kristen joining us from Happy Popcorn. The format today is going to be, we're going to show a short video on the Finch Market, and then we will have our three featured guests talk a little bit about what they've done to address the pandemic, and then we will open it up to questions. So we will get started now with our video. We also have this wouldn't have been possible without our great sponsors, Tim Hortons, the Eastern Ontario Training Board, Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, McDonald, Duncan and Dore Law Office, Business Development Corporation, and Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. They have all generously donated to help us create the videos and organize this event, so we really appreciate their continued support. So I'm going to show the video at this moment. We have three videos. We'll be sharing them separately. We're also recording this event, and we will make this available later as well.
Hi, I'm Sue Stewart.
And I'm Luke McCabe.
And we're co-owners of the Finch Market in Finch, Ontario.
First reactions to the pandemic was really putting a focus on making sure we got the right information as it was coming in. Started off with 6 feet apart in the store. We started off with getting some great signage from Dave's Reliable Signs, along with sanitizers at the door, minimal people in the store. We just kind of grew as COVID grew, and it kind of just started to adapt and take on all the changes that we needed to.
I think one of the hardest things to adapt to was we were asking people to stay home, or at least the government and the world was asking people to stay home, but yet we just started a business where we needed you to come in. We needed to sell groceries, people needed to eat, so that was really the trickier part, but we had somebody here locally that decided to partner with us to do deliveries for us so we could get the food out, curbside pickup. It just became almost second nature and natural for people to call in their orders. We put it together and got them out the door without even having to worry about any contact.
So with the Finch Market becoming an essential service and people having to come in and, needing food and wanting to eat and now having a little bit more, time on their hands, we were able to fast track some of the products that we wanted to get out to people and share with people essentially. So Spiceology was a very big one. I've become very close with them and able to really kind of work together and just bring all the new flavors in, be kind of Canada's one-stop shop for it. We ship Canada-wide. We're working with them to do some Canadian promotions in the upcoming seasons, and really just grow kind of my passion and spread my love of something like that, to everybody else. And we've also been able to bring in other great products from House of Q, which is a Canadian company. We also bring in Blues Hog. We brought in Meat Church. So we've got a lot of the barbecue staples and a lot of the heavy hitters that the guys are looking for on that in the barbecue world.
And that's what COVID did, was create a bigger barbecue world, because people, either they were baking or they were cooking, so we wanted to be able to give them a little bit more variety of all sorts, and just a little bit of everything, where they couldn't travel, but their palates could here, I guess.
So I think the one thing COVID definitely did for us was it really brought us together as a whole faster. Our team at the Finch Market grew very strong, very fast. We were very fortunate when we took this over to have some incredible individuals, and those individuals showed how just incredible they were with being able to adapt and grow with us. We wanted to put their safety, always first and foremost, and then they took that on as their own kind of mission statement, I guess, to make sure that all of our other guests that were in felt safe and felt secure as well when they came in. So I think COVID helped with us grow and create an incredible team bond that maybe wouldn't have happened if this didn't happen, which is going to help us fast track and get us to even better places and be able to offer even more great things to the community and to those that are able to come and visit us.
Well, that's a great story, and one of the first places that I actually went to during the pandemic was the Finch Market, and got some spice mix that is the secret to my chicken wings. It's now out, no longer a secret. And I don't know how many batches of chicken wings I've cooked with it, but their talk about the barbecue and how important that became as something to do is right on. So we really appreciate Sue and Luke making themselves available for that video. So Sue and or Luke, do you have anything that you want to add about your pandemic experience at this point? You can unmute yourselves and
hi, good morning, everybody.
we'd like to see you as well, if possible.
Well, let me figure out where that button is. Start video. There we go. All right, morning, guys. Oh, Susie, you got yours on there.
I shut mine off, sorry.
Awesome. Well, thanks for including us. Video is fantastic. Really appreciate Nick taking the time and coming out and hanging out with us. Like we said, in the pandemic, really made us kind of fast track and kind of really dive in a little bit even further. It was a new experience for myself and for Sue. Leaving kind of the only world I knew to go do this sort of retail was definitely a challenge. But like I said, we have really good people, that really made it a lot easier, and they already kind of were doing the job, and we were just able to bring our side to it and kind of help grow it. And then obviously, the pandemic hits and things change a little bit. So you just kind of take a left instead of a right and make it work.
I think that's also what we were most proud of, is the fact that we had such a great team there. We gave them the option, if you guys want to walk away for a little bit, take a break, because we do have other staff. We wanted not to let them feel uncomfortable, but they all stuck around and put everything in place to keep them safe. And it was fantastic. They're still kicking.
Well, that's great. No, we appreciate that. Thanks. Mrs. B's is an institution, or is it Happy Popcorn we're going to next? Sorry, Happy Popcorn. Is Kristen with us? I didn't see her earlier.
I'm here.
Okay. Hi, Kristen. So Happy Popcorn, just opened prior to the pandemic, and had a great start, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and they operated throughout the pandemic. We all got our fix of whatever popcorn that took your fancy. Ours is white cheddar. How they managed to get that much flavor in a kernel of popcorn, I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, in the midst of it, all of a sudden we heard that not only did they survive the pandemic or are surviving the pandemic, but then they jumped to a much larger location, which just seems to defy logic at this point. So, Kristen, we're really excited about your growth, and I'd like to hear from you sort of what your approach was to the pandemic, and how you managed to go from, you know, a small store on First to a major upgrade on Pitt.
I don't even really know where to begin. Our original reception when we opened our doors was incredible, and we kind of rode that right up into the new year. And then in March, yeah, when everything went south, we ended up closing the store for, I think it was about 3 weeks. Bill and I had taken the kids down south the week before March break, and the day we landed in Cuba was the day that country basically shut down. So panicked a little bit while we were away. Our moms were looking after the store for us, and so we just kept in contact with them to figure out what was happening locally. And sort of while we were on the beach, we formulated a game plan as to how we were going to proceed when we got back. We landed back in Canada in the middle of March break. We had to do our 2 weeks of quarantine since we were out of the country, and we used that time to shift everything from being in person in store to purchasing everything online and implementing curbside pickup. And that really kind of saved our butts. It took us, I'm tech savvy, but I'm not like the most tech savvy person. And it took us about 2.5 weeks to figure out how to get all of our inventory onto an e-commerce platform using Square. And they partner with a website company, Weebly. And yeah, we got that all kind of figured out. And yeah, once we went live with that, the response from our customers was really incredible. They really took to it and really made it easy on our end to just keep making popcorn and keep on trucking.
So at what point did you think that what I need is a bigger store, and I'm going to do that in the middle of a pandemic?
Basically, when we were putting out 40 and 50 orders every day, and we just didn't have the room to put orders while we were waiting for people to pick it up, and we were constantly running out of popcorn. So we were operating in a space that was less than 600 square feet, and in order to produce all the popcorn, you have to have a place to store it, like once it's popped and seasoned. And we were just running out of shelf space, and then trying to find places to put people's orders and whatnot. We're like, this is crazy. And then so we started talking with our landlord at that point about finding a larger space. We didn't really know how much larger we needed to go, and so we took it slow, but we started looking and working with him. And yeah, it was probably July that we're like, no, we need 2,500, 3,000 square feet in order to keep up with just demand to put product on our own shelves and into people's hands here in Cornwall.
Bob, who I imagine is behind Cornwall Economic Development, is asking whether you expanded your product offerings as a result of the pandemic.
We've expanded the number of sodas and artisans, like iced teas and stuff that we bring in. We carry a lot of stuff that's made here in Canada. We also use a couple of companies that import products from the US and from the UK and such. And so we carry some hard to find items that you just don't see anywhere else. We've also expanded just the retro and imported candy that we carry. We've started expanding the flavors of popcorn we produce in-house here. We just keep adding more and more, and I keep finding neat stuff to bring in, and I'm pretty sure we're going to run out of space here soon too.
That's fantastic. And that was Kate that asked that question. I see that now. So if you want to keep adding your questions to the chat, I'll come to them eventually. But right now, I would like to turn the focus to Mrs. B's gift shop. This is an institution here in Cornwall, and Barbara has always been at the forefront of our gift shop industry here. And she also has worked very hard to be very resilient and develop new programs to respond to the pandemic. And she came up with this very innovative program that a lot of retailers have joined in. And I'm going to let her explain that. So Barb, if you would like to unmute and just talk a little bit about that, that would be great.
So just checking, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, cool. So the first thing that I did whenever I was realizing that this was all taking place was panic, which that's a normal thing to do. But then, you know, after a few seconds of that, then you have to kind of think about what you're going to do. So I'm always planning, we always have large events. We usually have ladies' night. At this time of the year, we'll have Christmas open house, Black Friday's coming up. So with us having to close for several weeks, and with the amount, once we were able to reopen, with the amount of people being reduced in our store, you have to rethink all of those events. So I came up with an idea of bring your own bubble to Mrs. B's, where we're always talking about now your bubble, your personal bubble. So in order to keep our staff safe and keep all of the customers safe, we're trying to come up with different ways of getting that volume of people in without having crowds. And our store is very much a touch store. You come in, you want to touch the items, you want time to browse. And we don't want to rush people through with the long lineups that are going to come eventually as Christmas comes nearer. People are going to want to go out shopping. So the bring your own bubble is such that you can book time whenever we're not open. So you can book before we open or after. And it could be anywhere from, we're hoping, between 1 to 10 people. It could be a single person come in to shop, that's fine. Could be up to maybe 10 people within their bubble. Right now, I'm telling them that if they don't live in the same household, to come in separate cars. We don't want to be encouraging people to all get into one car that don't normally live together. So the priority there is to keep everybody safe, keep the customer safe, and keep the staff safe. We get clients coming in from Ottawa, Montreal all the time. You don't know if they've been exposed. We have no idea. So we're all really careful. Up until a couple of weeks ago, we kept the door locked. It was locked all that time that once we reopened. And it's been, some people push back at the door in a sense that they throw their hands up in the air when the door was locked and they'd walk away. They were frustrated, I guess, that they couldn't get in. Some thought that we were closed, even though there were several open signs there. But the people that have come in, for the most part, tell us that they feel safe. And that's the priority, is just being able to go around and wipe down surfaces constantly, trying to get people not to touch the goods as much as usual. So with the cooler weather coming as well, though, you don't want to be standing out in lineups. So definitely the bring your own bubble to Mrs. B's or to any store. You could use it in a restaurant situation. Maybe that's kind of like a reservation. You could use it in just about any type of environment that you would normally get a fair number of people at one time. Some people have compromised immune systems, so they can't come out. The food stores did a really good job early on. They had time where the seniors or with those that were compromised could come in before hours. So it's just something that we think we could share, and it took off. I mentioned it to Amy at Cornwall Tourism, and then I think she told Kevin Lavoie, and then he ended up telling CTV News. So they came and they did a video, and that kind of went viral. We had people contacting us from all over trying to book a bubble, or other business owners asking us if they could use that concept. So just definitely different times. Normally I would be going to gift shows. They've canceled, they canceled quite a few of our major gift shows. So I'm doing all of my buying online. Sometimes that's a good thing. In a sense, you can control your shopping cart and go, nope, spent too much. But on the other side of the coin, you can't see the product before you get here. So sometimes it's a dud, but for the most part, it's been okay.
Okay, thanks for that. So Chantel would like to know whether you used, and I'd like answers from all of you if you could, all three of you, if you have used any funding to help your pivots or during the pandemic. So I'll start with you, Luke.
Sure. Yeah, we definitely took advantage of it. We took advantage of the 40 grand grant that came out, whereas if you could pay it back within a certain time frame, you got to keep the 10,000. So we actually took the loan, and I just turned around and paid it back the next day, and then pretty much you get the free 10 grand, which was fantastic. We took advantage of sorry, there's a one right now, $1,000 grant for PPE. For all your personal protective equipment, sanitizer, all that stuff. I mean, obviously, we know as businesses, we've spent probably 3 or 4 times that much amount of money now. Just plexiglass alone in our building was close to probably $2,000. And we put that in probably the first week, the week or so when things started to happen. And then we hooked up with Ecolab, who I've kind of used all throughout my culinary time. So we have all their quat sanitizers and disinfectants, kind of went that route with it. Just to kind of go a little bit over, but yeah, we definitely took advantage of what we could, what funds that we could see there, and then also with part of the kickback to businesses that were still going, we got a little bit of wage break, I guess, on our. Sorry, I'm still new to the whole business side, but one of our monthly. I'm blanking.
So the wage subsidy, is that what
yeah,
you're
not
talking about?
yeah, I believe so. Not the WSIB, but we got a kickback in another spot too. So I've got a good accounting team, Paul and Brenda over at MMP that take care of us. So they always keep us up to date with that stuff.
Kristen?
No, to date, we haven't applied for any of the grants or any of the subsidies provided by the government in response to COVID. It hasn't been a need for us or a priority for us. And a lot of it we didn't qualify for. So at the time, I didn't have employees, so the wage subsidy wasn't applicable. CERB wasn't applicable. And then the grant, the $40,000 loan with the attached grant portion we didn't meet the qualifications for it at the time. So yeah, we didn't apply for any of that yet.
Barbara?
So yes, I took advantage of the $40,000 loan. I haven't paid that back at all yet. That's going to take a little time. And then the City of Cornwall had a $5,000 loan to help out with PPE and things like that. And again, we were able to take advantage of that. The employee wage subsidy, that didn't work for me either. The timing of when they said you could qualify, the qualifications were such that you had to be 70% down in sales at that point in time, and we were down 66%. So we didn't qualify for that. But again, we're still searching for different ways of, I am searching for different ways of trying to take advantage of things that are out there. But it's a very time-consuming thing to do. And to spend that hour or two searching and filling in these things and then finding out you don't qualify, it's kind of a bit of a waste, I guess, of time because you're so busy doing other things.
Can we, certainly we'll take any questions. If you just want to unmute yourself and ask, go ahead. This is to our audience. While we're waiting, Luke, I was interested in how you developed the idea that we're going to add interest to people's lives by giving them some other products to use while they barbecue. So how did you come to that? Like, what was the thought process where you thought, well, one of the good responses for us is to add products to our lineup?
That's a good question. I guess I think it's just with supply and demand. You know, obviously there was a lot of people that were really affected by COVID and in really bad ways and bad situations, and disposable income wasn't a thing. But then there was the other side that's not really talked about, and there was some disposable income. And I hope I don't come off wrong the way I say it, but you know, we had people that had trips planned to Japan you know, tens of thousands of dollars. And because they couldn't go, they'd come see me and they'd buy, you know, some Japanese A5 Wagyu, and they'd have their own little dinner party and kind of, you know, as though they were there, they at least got a taste of it. And then part of it with the Spiceology, I mean, I started off with 2 little shelves, you know, and kind of not being able to fill a wall, to now we stock over 150 different products, all between barbecue sauces, spices, pellets. It just kind of grew. I mean, I knew we had a pretty good following, and again, people just were cooking. You know, they couldn't go to the restaurants because the restaurants were closed, so it forced a lot of people to have to cook. And I mean, you're going to get pretty sick of doing the same thing over and over. So, like you said, kind of in the video, it gave us a very good opportunity to fast track some of the ideas and some of the things. And you know, you just took that leap of faith, and you know, kind of spent the money, and it ended up turning around, which is a very good thing. And little by little, we were able to invest a little bit more here, a little bit more there. We just recently branched out to Zoe olive oil products and vinegars. We expanded our Dutch cheeses. We've actually just brought in some shelf stable from Atwood Heritage cured meats. So it's really given us a good opportunity to reach out. We've partnered just recently with Mia. How do you say? Mikachina, yeah, Mikachina here in town. We're gonna have some excellent Mexican stuff out to us soon. So we're just, I think, just with the influx for us, because you know, we owned a business which became essential and a need, we were able to take that and reinvest it back into the business and give people more options, and I guess more of a reason to come and see us rather than wait in line at the big stores in town and, you know, kind of do all that.
Kristen, you were very quick to adopt an e-commerce platform right at it seemed almost at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
What would you say to other entrepreneurs who are intimidated by the thought of creating an e-commerce platform that might help them?
So I was, because I already used Square as our point of sale system. It's you buy the unit, they provide you all the software, and they do all of my credit card and debit transactions. Because they are already partnered with an e-commerce platform or a website template platform, it was really easy for us. Like it was just logging into the dashboard for Square and just hitting online and just answering some questions and moving a few things around to make it aesthetically pleasing or the way that I wanted it to look. And then it's just hitting launch. It was like really quite simple. The longest part, or the most difficult part was making sure that all of our inventory was inputted correctly, so that the names read correctly, that there was images attached to everything, and prices was correct, and that the inventory levels were accurate, so that we didn't accidentally oversell anything online and have to disappoint people. But so I would just tell people, like, there's plenty of programs or platforms out there that make it basically like click and point and make it really easy to get online and really affordable. I am paying basically nothing for my e-commerce portion of the website. The only fees that I pay are when people make a purchase. I pay a percentage of the credit fee, or the Square deducts a portion of the transaction fee as their fee, and it's minimal in the grand scheme of it.
So was there a lot of pickup on your website, and did you get
Yes.
did people respond to that?
Oh yes, big time. It like almost immediately, as soon as I went on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, saying our website is live, you can place your orders for curbside pickup. Like, we had orders like that, like as soon as we hit live. It was kind of crazy, and it grew as more and more people realized, and as social media pushed that message out that we had a website that you could order from and do curbside pickup. Within, I would say, a week and a half, we were up to 30, 40 orders a day.
That's great. So did any of you adjust your hours? Or have you returned to your hours? How have you managed that? I'll start with you, Barbara.
So yes, we reduced our hours big time through the summer. I must admit, the first couple weeks after we opened, um, people weren't coming out yet, not to shop for, we weren't essential. So they were contacting us on Facebook. And so over the period of time when we were closed, I did Facebook big time, promoted things. We have a really good website, but that only has maybe a quarter of what we have in the store because we have about 42,000 SKUs. So we have about 10,000 of them online, and so people would be referred to that. But the Facebook thing really helped. So the reduced hours, definitely, we haven't come back to full hours yet, because it takes extra staff to man the store during the hours that we are open. Making sure that, you know, one body gets lost, just making sure that people are distancing and sanitizing and going around behind them and sort of wiping up and things like that. So it kind of takes that extra body. So we did reduce the hours. We'll continue to keep them at what they are now, but definitely the book your own bubble or bring your bubble to Mrs. B's helps the after hours thing we can offer. Our e-commerce site really does help us, but only more so I found when we were closed or whenever we just opened, they were using it because of curbside. So they would go on there and see what they could order, put it in their shopping cart, pay, and then pick it up. As far as Luke mentioned something about disposable income a while ago, and I agreed with him, there was a lot of more disposable income. We don't have things you need to buy, but people were shopping and were buying things that probably wouldn't have normally bought had they not had CERB. So we noticed their spending was up, and the spending has actually been continued along in the last few months, even after things have kind of got more normal. They're still spending. We're meeting our numbers of last year, even though we're not open as many hours, which was kind of interesting. So that's, oh, and then something too, though, that we started selling was PPE. So we sell a lot of masks and things like that.
Kristen?
Yes, we reduced our hours. I've got 2 young kids who were home from school, obviously. And Bill at the time was broadcasting from the basement and working from home. And if you've ever met my daughter, Delilah, you would know that you get nothing done when she's in the same house as you. So basically he would look after them and while I was at the store, and then at 3 o'clock I would close up shop and run home and take her off his hands so that he could get some stuff done for the radio station. Since the kids are back in school now, we haven't changed our hours back yet, but we're looking at November of extending our hours a little bit, just so that people have time to do their holiday shopping and stuff.
And Luke, what did, or Sue, what did you do about your hours?
Oh, sorry. For us, we ended up having to close. Sorry, this is awkward.
Going in.
We're sharing an
Get in
office.
there.
For us, we ended up making the decision to close on Sundays, mostly because of the fact, again, we have an older staff that were bogged down. The phone was ringing off the hook. People were running constantly. So we just didn't want to see anybody burn out. And same with Kristen. We have a little guy at home, 5 years old. We've got a pug that needs constant attention. Have to pick the kids up, and it just became too much. I'm working real estate, running the roads. Luke's in Finch. None of us were around. So Sundays just seemed to be the best day to go back to the old school ways of family day.
Yeah.
Kristen, you mentioned that you were thinking, no, Luke, you said that you were already doing deliveries. And then on Monday when we were talking to restaurants, that was deliveries came up to that. Kristen, have you thought about doing deliveries, or did you look into that?
We have not looked into it yet. When we've had people inquire about whether or not we deliver, we always advise them to. There's a number of companies in town that offer delivery services, and we're more than happy to hand over an order to them, and then they can just take care of that on their end. And that hasn't been an issue for anybody yet. We haven't had a huge demand for delivery. It's only been like a handful of people who've asked in the last 6 months. So it hasn't been a priority for us.
And Barb, having once been part of your industry as the on the manufacturing side, I know how tactile people's experience needs to be with the items that you sell. So I imagine that delivery was difficult unless they could see it on the website. But did you contemplate that?
Well, we've always done a small amount of delivery over the years. Some people are sort of housebound to begin with, some of our elderly clients. So we've always done delivery for them, and we continued to do that. I'll do that anytime if somebody wants a in-town delivery. So that's not probably, it didn't change big time. Curbside really changed whenever we were able to do that. So that was something interesting. But the product, some of the product is hard you have to come in, because for instance, if you want to buy a scented candle, no matter how much I try, I can't seem to send you that scent online. So definitely it's something that they have to come in for those things.
And Luke, when you were setting up your delivery service, how did you go about doing that? Did you use independent contractors? Did you have your staff do it? And is it something that you would think you'd carry on even after the pandemic, should there ever be an after the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we started getting phone calls about some of it, so we actually partnered up with Fat Lesses. Jamie Scarf was really the one that was driving the deliveries, him and his team over there. He's a pretty big community guy out in Finch, so we partnered up with him. So what we would do is people would either call or they'd email us. We'd kind of print it out or write the list down, and then our team would run around and kind of grab everything. We'd get it good. We'd do the payment over the phone, and then they'd show up and we'd drop it off at the front door, and kind of away we'd go. It was a lot in the beginning because we also had some elderly people, and with quarantining and people not wanting to come out, it just became a pretty big thing. Some days we'd do 5 to 7 orders. And it was a lot. We also had to put a little bit of restrictions on it to some of our busier days, because we still had the 5 people per store for a while. But instead of people coming in for 1 or 2 things, it was grocery carts. So it was more time needed, and
it was alcohol too. We were having a hard time with the idea of the lottery alcohol. People wanted us to deliver stuff like that. First of all, I don't think it's legal, and secondly, it was tricky to word it to them in such a nice way to say no. We're just delivering groceries.
12 cases of beer. So so I mean, for us right now, we have certain clientele that we will still do deliveries for because they're either physically unable or they have conditions. We will always probably offer curbside pickup because it's really easy. It's not a lot of work. You shoot us an email the day before, we throw it together for you, and it's ready to go. So yeah, it was a really beneficial thing, and I think some of the orders we walked over to people as well if they were close enough. It was just again, it was a sense of community and just kind of coming together and trying to make sure people were had food.
So Luke, you mentioned curbside, and you think that you'll continue that in the future. So I'd like to know whether all 3 of you would continue to do curbside or whether you're doing curbside now. But I also want to know that, especially in the retail locations, that the type of retail that the 3 of you operate, there's got, somebody would come to get some bread from you, Luke, and there'd be a certain level of serendipity. Oh, look at that. Well, that looks really tasty. I'm going to buy that too. And I would think that you lose that a bit with the curbside. Have you been able to figure out how you keep that sort of that sort of ability to add a little bit to the person's purchase through curbside?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fortunate. I got Susie here. She's the kind of the brains beside all the Instagram and Facebook posts and social media. So, we get a new product or an idea and we just pound it to it. Here's our fresh baked cinnamon buns today, or banana bread. So I think we've done a pretty good job with kind of letting people know the things that we offer and some of our one-off things. And when they call, they ask for it, or they'll hey, what other baking items do you have? And again, with the staff we have, we're so fortunate, you know, someone like Penny and Karen and Eva, they'll upsell on the phone, you know, oh, you're getting this, hey, right now we have this, and
Cherry pies are in the oven.
yeah, it's just in them, which is
Yeah.
so awesome, just because they're really good people. So the biggest thing for us, I think, that in, you know, with that is just letting people know that it's okay to call and not feel like they're a pain in the ass asking us for, you know, different things, or asking us to go and look at a box for an ingredient because maybe they have an allergy or an intolerance. Like, I think that was the biggest thing. And then once we you know, let those customers know that it was okay to ask questions, and rather than just here's a list cut and dry, you know, it grew itself, and, you know, it became a pretty easy thing.
Kristen, do you still do curbside?
We do. You can still order online, and we will pull your order and set it aside for you. And then, yeah, you can either lately people are coming to the door, or they're coming into the entrance and picking up their orders, but we still have a few that will pull up out front and call, and we'll run it out to them.
And you know, doing the upsell, how are you using the same tools that Sue and Luke are?
For sure. So we use social media a lot. So whenever we get new products in, there's a social media post about it. I get my kids to do videos because they're all about YouTube and they want to make videos. That's something they enjoy doing. And we have fun with it. And then, because of the way our website is laid out, is a single page scroll. So when they're looking for a particular product that we feature on social media, they have to look at pretty much everything. And so we're finding that people's orders tend to be multiple products.
Barb, do you do curbside?
Yeah, so we do curbside. I found we did curbside way back when, before all of this, because we have a portable machine, so you can call ahead and just then pull up to the curb and we come out with a portable machine. But when we shut down and we were doing curbside during shutdown, I found that was really stressful. I'd get messages at 11 o'clock at night, and, you know, 11:05, hello. They wanted you to answer all these questions in the middle of the night. So anyway, I'm hoping that we don't have to go back to that, but I don't mind doing curbside anytime. So if anybody wanted to do that, that's available all the time. Just reasonable hours would be nice to communicate. As far as upselling goes, it's little difficult to upsell, except that we try to keep the window changed so that whenever people do curbside pickup, our windows go all the way across our store. That's like, I don't know, 60 feet or so of window. So they can kind of go, oh, what's that? Whenever they pull up. So that kind of helps.
So in terms of social media, you've all touched on it. So do you manage and to some extent you've answered some of this, but if you could each just talk a little bit about how you manage your social media. Do you do it yourself? Do you get help? Is it, or like Kristen, where you get the kids to help out with it? I'll start with you, Sue and Luke.
Our kids do give us ideas every once in a while. If there's a product they really like, it's like, well, the other people must too. But no, social media for us, it's when we see something we really enjoy, you run with it. Because I don't know, I don't really know how to.
No, what I think too, it's managing the social media. So like for us, you know, because there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's your website that you're pushing, and like Barb was saying, you know, you're getting messages at 11 o'clock and, you know, for the most crazy things, and you're like, how are you even thinking of this at 11 o'clock? But they are. And the thing we did was, if you message us on Facebook or Instagram, you'll get an automatic reply that will ask you to email us. So if the question's not important, they're going to take that extra step and they're going to actually go through the platform that we're monitoring. We don't monitor our Instagram DMs or our Facebook messages direct to the Finch Market. And Sue and I really, really try hard not to respond to anything business through our personal Instagrams or our personal Facebook. We have had to have the conversations with people. Hey, we're not trying to be rude, but this is the only place that I can manage this, and I'm going to forget this conversation because I've got 35 other conversations and people asking me things too. So we've really tried hard to divert everything to the webpage for inquiries, questions, any of that stuff. But again, you know, with getting it out there, I mean, social media is a free tool. You know, it just takes some time to be able to set aside and do those things. But in saying that, it takes a ton of time, you know, to make it right and to do it good and to stage shots and to do those things. But again, they're important. I mean, you know, as anybody knows that owns a business, you're only going to get back what you put in. So if you can take that extra time to get people's buzz and interest, and I think like Kristen said, it's kids are a great draw. If you can get kids in on it, you're going to get somebody else's kids hooked to it too. And I think that's also been fun through the pandemic, is having the extra time to also, you know, have your kids involved a little bit with this stuff too.
We certainly feel with what Barb said too, though. Just because your store has a closed sign on it, you have your regular hours you use. Online, you're always open to people. So you got to set the boundaries pretty quick. And it took us a little bit, but I think we've gotten people navigating the proper way now and not ordering a 24-ounce porter steak at 12:30 at night.
Barb, how did you set those boundaries? Was it just having conversations with those individual customers, or?
I don't know if I've actually gotten the boundaries set completely. I tiptoe to the bathroom at 11:30 at night to answer those questions. Definitely, you don't want to lose a sale. I guess that's the thing, and so you're constantly on call, and I know that that's kind of stressful, and I try to actually it shuts off after midnight because I sleep at that point, but it's definitely difficult to set those boundaries, and yeah, I do try to direct them different ways and say, you know, I'll get back to you tomorrow morning or something like that, or the store's open from X to X, please call. We have our website, if it shows you on our website that it's there, then presumably we have it in stock. Our inventory control helps with that. So I do try to direct them to the website. But again, I'd like to get a lot more of our product on there, and the product's always constantly changing, so it's a big job. But I do manage most of the social media myself. I wish I was a little more creative in the video department and whatnot, but working on it.
Kristen, yes, you had told us that you needed to leave at 9:45. So thanks a lot for participating in our panel, and we wish you well, and we'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
So just as we get ready to wrap up, if anybody has a question they want to ask, just please drop it in to the chat, or just unmute yourself and interrupt me. So I'd like to, you know, Christmas is a pretty important time for retailers. How are you going to ensure that it can, during the pandemic, that you can maximize whatever sales you can through this very important period? And I would think that this would be something that you must think a lot about, Barbara.
Yeah, that's a big thought process. Our store is carried for January, February, and March based on November and December sales. So it's definitely going to be a big issue going forward. I don't expect us to be able to meet those sales figures from last year in those months. And you still have to pay the same staffing level, if not higher, and the same expenses are all going to be there. So I think that I'll be constantly looking at different ways of trying to get more people into the store during the hours that we're open. It would be nice if they could come in as a constant flow, as opposed to seeming like the bus let out. And so then that means people having to stand outside. So that was the whole idea with the booking some extra time for customers to come in and shop. So we're really encouraging that. They are doing it, but they think late. So they're starting to really book for November and some into December. And I'm hoping that they kind of think earlier more than whatever. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an issue. It's financially, it's going to be tough.
Sue or Luke, do you have any strategies for Christmas?
So from working with a lot of our vendors, you know, what we're being told, like I just got an email yesterday, there will be shortages in a lot of food products, and you're going to see a lot of prices get driven up. Red meat's going to triple again. They're already saying turkeys in the 3 to 5 kg range, they'll be short there'll probably be a shortage on turkeys in Christmas. So we're starting to already trying to figure out what we're going to do. You know, like I have an opportunity right now. I can buy a whack of turkeys and put them in a freezer and wait till Christmas and be okay. But
We don't have a freezer that
yeah,
big.
so now I got to buy a freezer. So, you know, trying to even lock down fresh turkeys. We just last week kind of submitted our order for it, and we got told that we weren't going to get ours because they have a shortage and they can't even meet the demand. So that'll have us reach out and try and work with some other local people to secure them. But a lot of guys after Thanksgiving aren't doing their turkey runs. Like we had some local free range ones, and because of the group restrictions and household restrictions, people aren't looking for those big birds. You know, you're not having many 4-family homes cook a 25-pound turkey. So it's going to be tough that way. We've started to bring in already. We've got a lot of gift sets coming in the kind of the spice line, and we got our Christmas Dutch items already in. We placed pre-orders ahead, so people are trying to shop early. It's definitely starting to go around, and we are definitely seeing certain shortages in things, and we're also being warned. You know, with everybody being home during this pandemic, you know, if on average we're producing, you know, 600,000 cows in Canada, you know, for usually does us in a year, we've probably gone through that consumption. So, you know, there's issues with Ontario pork being shorted. We're getting things in from Mexico, unfortunately, some USA stuff. So it's a very, very interesting market. A lot of what you're seeing right now out in stores it's just different. You know, knowing that there is a shortage on Canadian product, but yet seeing still Canadian product being advertised at some of the other stores is very, very eye-opening. So it's definitely going to be, I think, a season that if you're not shopping early and you're not planning for it, I definitely think there's going to be missed opportunities.
And if I might, what we're trying to do to help out other local businesses, at least Ontario and on the bigger part Canada, where the gift baskets that Luke said we're ordering in, we're actually making them ourselves. So we're taking the Zoe line that's just 20 minutes from us on the border. The Atwood meats and stuff. We're going to try to make the gift baskets from Ontario-based products that we can sell as a gift for anybody who can't make it out. Like, again, we've got a lot of seniors in Finch with the Finchview Villa. They can't go places really to get gifts for their family, so they could get edible stuff that's right there, you know, different price points, $20 to $50, and keep it simple. But hopefully we can keep getting stuff in like that to help out a little bit.
And I see somebody put a question, is there a way to go to the small producers? So a lot of the problem with the small producers now being this late in the pandemic is that they've made the decision either not to produce a Christmas run, or they've already only committed to say maybe growing 50 or 100 birds, and they're already spoken for. So the problem with the small producers is being able to produce kind of in short, quick demand. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. And the other problem is that we're finding is that a lot of these local small businesses, they aren't registered. A lot of them are doing like craft fairs and stuff, and they're, you know, a lot of cash sales and a lot of things. So that's the other hard part that we're finding these great local businesses that are starting up, and they're, you know, selling kind of here and there and stuff, but they're not like, I can't get an actual receipt to be able to purchase from. So there's definitely still some growing from our end on that, and finding places that have that are ready to set up for actual sales or retail. But yeah, we definitely try and use small producers when we can.
Barbara, have you been looking at local producers for any of your product lines?
Well, we have one that makes cards, handmade cards. We have somebody who does beeswax candles. Locally, it's difficult in a sense. Products, sometimes depending on what you're making, you have to have insurance, and a lot of small crafters and small people who do small things don't have insurance. So if somebody, say for instance, makes clothing and children's clothing, and a child chokes on a button or something, then they unfortunately need somebody to sue. So definitely we stay away from certain things that might have that problem. As far as suppliers go, we do have a fair number that we're trying to buy. We've bought Canadian. We've always bought Canadian. But a lot of our stuff comes from, unfortunately, from overseas, from China, some from the US. We're having issues with supply. We've had issues from all through the year, but I pre-book ahead of time a year. So most of the stuff has come in. We put Christmas out early this year because, of course, the season is going to have to get stretched. And yeah, so locally, though, it's difficult to buy certain things, especially from an insurance point of view.
An interesting point that the two of you make about the readiness of our local producers. Definitely something that I think the three partners that have been organizing this, I think we'll take note of, because I think that's an important message that we need to relay to them, that you know, there are markets, local markets, opportunities out there if you get your business properly set up.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, absolutely.
certainly, you
I
know,
think Barb really hit on that, you know, with the child's clothing. You know, it's unfortunately somebody would need somebody to sue. You know, I've reached out to a bunch of local vendors for hot sauces, you know, 10 or whatever is one of them. I see all the boys doing, and I reached out to Jeff and Cher, and they're just not ready to sell to retail, you know, so they're still pumping their product out here and there, but it just can't get into a store yet, which is unfortunate.
that's a good point. Okay, well, I really appreciate your time, Luke, Sue, Barbara, and Kristen. I appreciate everybody who joined the call today, and we will make a copy of this available. We'll also come up with a written summary. We have one out. We were unfortunate that we didn't get a recording from our session on Monday, but we do have a good written summary up on our website. So you can go and check that out if you wish, and we will have the same for today. We have a number of events throughout the rest of the week. We had a great town hall yesterday. We have another one planned for Thursday at 7 p.m. And we have another of our industry panels on tourism on the 30th. So we invite you all to join that as well. Again, the sponsors are a really incredible part of how we got to put this together, and paying for the videos. You saw the great quality, and you know, we want to support our local creators. So, you know, this was not a freebie by them. We wanted to make sure that they were compensated, and we couldn't have done that without Tim Hortons and Eastern Ontario Training Board, the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, McDonald Duncan Dore, Federal Development, FedDev, and BDC as well. And I want to thank my other partners, the Community Futures, Leslie at Community Futures, and Candy at the Business Enterprise Center. We could not have, this was a joint project, and it takes a lot of effort to get all this done. So thank you very much for helping out. And again, thanks everyone. And we will see you Thursday and or Friday. Take care.